Hello everyone, Ben Stark here, recording my first draft video from BloomBurrow. The set came out last week, so we got in, about 10 to 20 practice drafts. Feel like we know what we're doing now, and we're gonna fire this one up and see how it goes. I hope everybody's been liking the set. I know it's filled with strange little creatures. I've never truly loved tribal sets, to be honest, but they can be better or worse depending on how all in they are and, if you can block and various things. Okay, so Valley Quest Caller. This card's very good. The Scry one is nothing to sleep on because once you have lands unlimited, every time you scry a land to the bottom, that's practically draw a card. And that helps you find more of these little creatures to pump. And there's lots of token making, offspring, mice are small, rabbits, multiply. So I think this card is probably pretty busted and will almost certainly be taking it. Also, white is, I think most people would say, the best color in this format. There's several really nice cards in white. I think the Downwind Ambusher is the best version of this destroy a creature that has taken damage this turn that we've ever seen. Mostly because you can often just flash it out, give -1/-1 as a trick, and also eat something. So it's a lot less situational. Reptilian Recruiter is nothing to scoff at. Red is very, very aggressive in this format. So 4/2 Trample Steal a creature is effective. And also, Vine Reap Mentor is one of the best uncommons in the whole set. Could be number one. It's just an incredible card. I mean, a 3/2 is a top-heavy creature. Top-heavy creatures force trades. So that thing ends up trading with their 2 or 3 drop and leaving 2 food behind. That's a pretty big advantage. That said, I think the Valley Quest Caller is going to be better. So it seems like a pretty easy follow-up in Harvstride Host. Maybe this will be a drafting the easy way draft. If we're going to, take a rabbit rare and then a rabbit uncommon, I'll take all the rabbits. I like rabbits. We'll see if the people on Arena are drafting them as aggressively as most of the people seem to be doing elsewhere. Bandit's Talent is good. I think this card is better than it looks. You don't have to turn on level 2 or 3 until they're relevant, so you get your 1-for-1 and then you turn those on in the late game. It's not like you have to sink your mana into those early for it to be effective. Blooming Blast is also a cool card. You're not going to want to give the opponent a treasure on turn 2 or 3 if you play this card. But then, once it's the late game and the treasure doesn't matter, you get to deal them 3. Pretty effective. There's also lots of 1/1s, 1 toughness things. So Playful Shove is an excellent card that you should take fairly aggressively. I think this is, of course, a very easy Harvstride Host for us. So speaking of drafting rabbits, one of the best commons in the set, Carrot Cake. This card might look somewhat innocuous, but it is not. Again, Scry 1, once you have the lands you need limited, is draw half a card. And if you have a 2-lander, you can scry away a spell and find land 3 and 4, which there's a lot of, winning that's comes from that. So, when you have a card that is cheap and has scry like this, it'll scry twice. Probably you'll play this on early and it'll scry and you'll find land if you need them, or you'll scry away land and have more stuff to do and hit your curve better if you have enough land. Then in the late game you'll scry and you'll put a land on the bottom. I mean, you only see a land half the time, but it's basically draw half a card when it does that. And of course it makes 2 rabbits, and we're already doing rabbit uncommon, rabbit rare, rabbit theme. So this may be drafting the rabbit way. We'll see. Hopefully we can keep getting rabbits. So the Bird Night Fisher, I mean, this card is fine. If you're heavy birds, obviously it's a big bird, makes tokens. It's a good card. You'd be happy to play it. But ultimately, a 5-drop without it comes at a player leaves playability is just going to trade with removal most of the time. Not a very exciting card. We could still do white blue birds, of course. We're only committed to white. We don't have a second color. So I'm considering it, but I don't know that I really want to take it. This is a pretty good aggro card, but our stuff so far is not that aggro. More of a go wide if we can do that. Oh, there's not really anything in this pack for us in that regard. I mean, Take Out the Trash and Teapot Slinger indicate red being pretty open, and Agate Assault. So I think we have to assume that red is the color we're going to see the next most of, even though our cards might go a little better with green. And I think Take Out the Trash is probably better than Slinger and Agate Assault, so I'm going to take out the trash here. Well, now there's another Night Fisher, so kind of makes you wish you took that. But, again, white-blue does birds. The Lord works for birds, but it's not one of the better archetypes, in my opinion. I think, all the Naya color archetypes are good. I think black-red can be pretty effective. I'm not a big fan of white-blue in this format, but I'm not unwilling to play it. So we'll see if, that's what we keep seeing. But with 3 good red cards, a red uncommon and 2 red common removal spells, both of which are very solid, felt like red is the most open color, and I think that's still probably true. Even if the double Night Fisher would be better than the 2 red removal spells we're taking here, it still seems likely that red is more open, because these are just good red commons that can go in any red deck, whereas Night Fisher is a bird card, and maybe people just aren't drafting birds, right? So Thistledown Players is pretty solid. You might look at this card and think 3 mana 3/3 no ability, but that's not the case. Not because you can untap it to block with it, that's a who cares, but because Valiant is the mechanic in this format for red white. This Veteran Guard Mouse has it. So this is just a free way to trigger your Valiants. So that's why the Thistledown Players is better than it looks. That said, I think the Guard Mouse is probably just better. How's our curve? Yeah, it's pretty good. So I think we can take this Guard Mouse here. Hey, red-white definitely open. Seed Glaive Mentor, one of the better of the gold uncommons from all the archetypes. I mean, this thing is 3/2 haste. Maybe you can attack with it the turn you play it. Maybe you can't. But then after that, profitably, because you don't want to trade this for a 2/2. But then you just start targeting it with your in-play, target your stuff abilities, and it's really effective. And as you can see, red is wide open. Harnesser of Storms is pretty good. Agate, I don't know how to say names, is also a very solid removal spell. I'm going to take the Mentor. We're going to draft red-white. You don't complain if you get an easy draft. It's not a bad thing. Also, this may be the best archetype. It's definitely one of them. So it'll be good to draft a good version of it and kind of see how it goes. Creatures you control get +2/+2 on a turn. Yeah, this card's very solid if you go wide. We're not actually that wide yet, but we're going to try to go wide because we do have a lot of the rabbit stuff. Might of the Meek. This is in the format because of Valiant. Again, you just target this and then it gets a +1/+1. And while 1 mana, draw a card, give a creature +1/+0 and trample is not a good card, 1 mana, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, give it +1/+0 and trample until end of turn, draw a card is a good card. So that's the point of that card. Also, this is one of the sleeper commons in the format, in my opinion. Again, because of Valiant. This is a free way to trigger your Valiant every turn for no mana immediately upon playing things. Even though this already has haste, we'll tap it. We'll tap this to put a +1/+1 counter on this. We'll tap this to give the Veteran Guard Mouse +1/+0 for strike, and we'll get to scry. So I really, really like this Raccoon Rallier. I don't want to overstate it, it's, just a solid 2. But I'm happy to play 2 or 3 of these in any of my, red-black, red-white, Valiant type aggro decks. So these seasons are completely and totally busted. I wish I was green-white, but as you can see, red is the color that's wide open. And I can't really switch from red-white to red-green here. I mean, I have good white cards, right? And I have red, white, gold cards. So, I mean, and look, Quake Tusk Boar is a really nice aggro card, right? You're pretty happy with 5 mana, 5/5, reach, trample, haste. But, of course, Season of Gathering is much better. I mean, this card is pump your thing, pump your thing, pump your thing, pump your other thing, draw 5 cards. I mean, this is ridiculous. But I'm not going to switch colors. Red, white is clearly open. I'm in the right archetype. I have good cards in both red and white. So I'm gonna stick with that. Mouse Trapper, again, it's pretty good. Tapping things is pretty effective. This is a card that might not look that good to you, but red-white is aggro, white-green's pretty aggro, and then you tap their blockers almost for free. Valiant's a powerful mechanic if you draft around it. If you draft some things like Might of the Meek and Raccoon here, it's very easy to trigger those. I think Banishing Light's probably a little bit better, but it might be a close pick. I'm not even sure. I'm going to go with the Banishing Light, but I think that's pretty close. So Star Charter's great if you're black-white life gain, but our deck is very aggressive. We're not too interested in gaining life, so I don't really want to have to do that. So I think this is just Raccoon or Banishing Light. Banishing Light is better, but we are getting to the point where we have pretty good removal, right? We already have Agate Assault, Banishing Light, take out the trash. So I think we're getting to the point where we might consider a 2-drop if we're short 2-drops. Yeah, but we're not really short 2-drops either, right? It's pack 2, and we already have 3 proactive 2-mana cards we're happy to play on turn 2. Carrot Cake, Quest Caller, and Raccoon. So I'm going to take the Banishing Light. So I would not mind these Valley Rallies and Rabbit Responses at all. Valley Rally is pump your team, but then you give them a food to have your first striker eat one of their blockers. That's a good card. Rabbit Response, also Scry 2 means you have another spell next turn. It's a pretty big deal when you tack on, draw a card out of the +2/+1. My only thing is, like, we don't go that wide. Like, I want us to. I hope we end up getting a lot of rabbit making and can go wide. But we're definitely seeing more red than white, and I'm not confident we're going to go super wide. So I think I might just want this mage here. We have plenty of spells. We're going to be scrying. I mean, this isn't a great card, but, you know, it makes a copy of itself. It gives you 2 bodies if you're trying to go wide. I mean, I hope we're able to really do a rabbit go wide. That's really what we want. And if we are, I'll regret that pick. But I think it's likely at this point we might be a little bit more of a traditional type Boros. All right, I'm going to take another Harv Straight Host here. Intrepid Rabbit is one of my favorite commons in the set. I think this is, like, near busted common. Like, you know, when you give +2/+2 for 4 mana, like, they don't have blocks that turn, right? Like, you're getting a good attack. And then you're getting the 2 bodies, 4 power for 1 card and 4 mana, which has been good in, like, every set they've printed it in. That said, you know, we're still trying to do the rabbit theme here if we can. So now the pick is between the Raccoon and the Playful Shove. I like both these cards quite a bit. The Playful Shove's probably a little bit better. It does go better with this Mage. It makes us want to prioritize the non-creatures. You can also use it to target your own stuff and trigger Valiant, since it's only 1 damage. This is close. I feel like this is pretty close. I'm going to go with the spell because this is a creature-heavy set, and I think we're going to want that more, but I think it's a pretty close pick. Intrepid Rabbit late. White is pretty open, too. Although, this often happens in draft where, like, if you don't see a ton of a color in pack 1, you often see it in pack 2, because if you weren't seeing it, that means you weren't passing it, which means the people to your left aren't playing it, so then you see it in pack 2. So I suspect in pack 3, we'll see more red and less white again. We'll see if that ends up being true. So we're trying to go wide with rabbits, so, you know, head of the homestead here. You don't want too many 5s, but this is just 3 bodies. Incredible with these Harv Straight Hosts, right? So just a clear, easy choice for us. Not too interested in the 4 mana Bird Scout. I'll take a 5 mana removal spell. Don't know if I'll play it or not. Hey, we got the Mouse Tapper back. I like that. I like that 2 mana Mouse Citizen that rummages for Valiant also. Not as much as the Trapper, but I do like it. So we have a ton of playables. Like, I don't mind cutting a few of the cards that we currently have in, but, like, literally if I had to play all of these, I wouldn't even care. So we're looking very good. Clearly red and white was open. Geb's great. Obviously we're not switching colors. I'm just saying this card is excellent. Again, Vine Reap Mentor, one of the best uncommons. Beauregard Mentor is also one of the best uncommons. They did a good job with these powerful gold, unsplashable, like, signpost uncommons. They're pretty powerful in the set, but they don't, like, totally dominate the game all the time or anything. So this pack kind of sucks for us. I only like Sonar Strike if you're gaining the 3. You know, like, if you're a Bat Birds deck, this card's incredible. If you're, like, an aggressive Rabbits Raccoons type deck, like, it's not a card you really want. I can always take another Assault. Like, this is a very vanilla removal spell. I think it's substantially worse than Take Out the Trash. But it's, like, a fine card. You know, we can play it. I could grab an Uncharted Haven, but, I mean, we're a 2-color deck. Probably play 17 lands, have a little rummage like these Take Out the Trashes. I don't think we're really going to need a tap duel. Not saying I wouldn't play one. Like, I like 8/8/1 to have 9/9 for my aggro decks. But I just don't think it's offering us much value. So now there's Take Out the Trash and Dewdrop Cure. Dewdrop Cure's good. We don't have a ton of 2s. It's good if you have a ton of 2s, which is not hard to do. And, well, it doesn't get back Carrot Cake. It just gets back creatures. It can get back our Broken Rare here, but we have enough 2s, but we don't have a ton. So I think Dewdrop Cure, like, this card is probably worse than it looks. Because, I mean, it's really powerful if you're getting back 2, and if you're getting back 3, it's amazing. But the thing is, like, how often are you doing that, right? Like, and a lot of times you're just getting back 1, and then it's a bad card. So, like, if you have, like, 8 2-drops, yeah, take that card. But if you have a normal number of 2-drops, like 5, that means you're only going to draw 1 a lot of the time, and then it's a bad card. So I think that card's a bit of a trap. I do not recommend taking that card aggressively. Now, this card, on the other hand, is not a trap. This is just an excellent First Strike lifelink. I mean, 2 mana 2/2 lifelink has always been good. So First Strike, making it so that their 2-drop often can't block it, and sometimes even their 3-drop. A lot of the creatures are small in this format. That's just a great 2-drop to pick up. Well, unfortunately, we can't play this. I mean, it's a good card. It's, you know, it's very powerful. It's like, you know, for 6, you're, like, drawing a card, or for 5. For 4, it's just a 5/5 trample. You know, no big deal, like, is what I'm trying to say. Like, of course, if I was red-green, I would get that nice mythic here 4th. But Brambleguard Captain is excellent. This triggers your Valiant profitably every turn. You know, you pump your Valiant creatures. This card is just a great 4-drop for the red-white aggro deck. It does look like red-green was probably the most open color this way, even more so than red-white. But, you know, we got pretty good white cards to start. And maybe it was a mistake to stick it out. Maybe I'm supposed to be red-green in this draft. But I think it was pretty hard to get there. I don't think we saw much green in pack 1. That card is excellent, too. But Mousetrapper is also great. So we're doing okay with the red-white. Whoa, and there's Mabel here. Mabel's really good. I mean, the sword is a very real card. So, like, getting a 3-mana 3/3 that pumps your mice and then makes a sword. And look, there's Seed Gave Mentor, too. So, I mean, the feeling I get is that red is wide open. Red, green, and red, white are both open. But individually, white and green may not be that open. Because we haven't seen that much good white and that much good green in packs 1 and 3. But we did see all the red, white, gold cards and all the green, red, gold cards. So it feels like maybe the people, you know, passing us to our right are playing like maybe green or white or green and white, or, you know, a couple people down are playing those colors. But I don't think they're playing red, white or red, green. I think we're definitely seeing both the color combinations, red, white, and red, green, seem to be pretty open. I think we probably want this Brazen Collector. I mean, I would play like all 4 of these cards theoretically. Nah, I'll take Blooming Blast. We're an aggro deck. That does 3 to the opponent. Sometimes I get a little too fancy. We have enough 2-drops. But I do think creatures can be good. This Lizard Assassin, big profound statement there. Creatures are good. No, but what I mean is, like, this is a format where the creatures all pump each other and all have abilities. So, like, I would not be afraid to take creatures over removal spells in this format. That's what I'm trying to say to you here. It obviously depends. You, of course, want some removal as well because you want to remove bombs and you need to be able to clear, you know, a pesky blocker and attack on some turns. But overall, I think this is like a creature synergy set. So however good you think a removal spell is, maybe take away a few percent, like in your head. And however good you think a creature is, up it by a few percent. Just kind of in general. All right, so let's see. Let's see what we got here. So this is way too many cards. I have a good amount of Valiant, so I'll probably play 16 lands, in which case I probably will cut a land here. Probably just going to cut the tap land. I don't think we need that. Looks like a 9/7. I like to go 8/8 mostly, but with 2 red cantrips and then these Rummage and like more red than white early, I think 9/7 makes sense. We do have a lot of early white stuff. Maybe I will play the tap land just so we can kind of have 9/8 on 16 lands. I lied. I mean, I don't love tap lands in 16 land aggro decks, but we can definitely play 1 for turn 1. And because I want to play 16 lands but still have 9 red sources and 8 white sources, I think this is effectively what we have to do. And then I'm going to cut electricity. As I was saying, I don't really think removal is that great in this format, and that one is pretty mediocre, and I have plenty. I can kill any size creature with Banishing Light or tap any size creature with these 2 Mousetrappers. I don't think I need a 5-mana kill a big thing. I think so let's see. This is a lot of playables. So when I have a lot of playables, I like to set the cuttables off to the right. So let's see. What could we consider cutting? These are cuttable. I'm not saying I'm going to cut them. They're just things I would even consider cutting, basically. This is probably cuttable. This is probably the weakest 2-drop creature. I'm probably not going to cut it, but I would say it's cuttable. Valley Rally is good, but we don't go that wide. It's cuttable. I actually think these Agate Assaults are cuttable. Like I said, removal's fine, but it's not that great. And this card's a solid 4-drop, but I'd say it's cuttable. Brambleguard Captain, not cuttable. The mouse, if you're not triggering Valiant conveniently, is cuttable. We have 2 Raccoon Ralliers. We have Brambleguard Captain. Those are great ways to trigger all the time. So probably we're going to play it, but maybe it's cuttable. And these 2 5-drops are not cuttable in our deck with the 2 Hosts and the Rabbit Lord. The Head of the Homestead's amazing. Quake Duskboar is quite good. All right, so how many cuttable cards does that leave us? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need to cut like 6 of them. We're only going to play 3 of them. So let's see. Which of these 3 do we want to put in the deck? So the first thing I'm generally going to do is check for Curve. Our Curve looks good already, but... So only proactive 2-drop super count if you're an aggro deck. Like if you're a control deck and you have 5 2-mana removal spells, and look, control and aggro are the most overused terms in limited. Like they mean next to nothing. But what I mean is basically if you're a deck that you see yourself winning the late game, then you're a control deck. If you're a deck that needs to end the game before like turn 8, then you're an aggro deck. And this is more of an aggro deck, right? Like our deck's good, and it's going to be really hard for the opponents to block. We have a lot of power on cheap cards. But if they start drawing cards and playing bombs and playing draw threes, we're not going to win, right? We're trying to like keep attacking them, pumping our stuff, and tapping their blockers, attacking them. So that's an aggro deck in limited. Okay, so anyways, for an aggro deck, we want to have at least like 5 proactive 2-mana stuff. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exactly, and then we have more removal and stuff. So it wouldn't be bad to have like 1 more, but we're pretty good on 2 drops. Obviously, you can see we have infinite 3 drops. We don't. I mean, the curve is actually better than it looks because this is even a 4 drop. You know, you want to play it on turn 4 and kick it. But overall, whatever. We have tons of 3s, tons of 2s, a couple of 4s, a couple of 5s. So our curve is just good. So we don't have to worry about curve. So now if there's any cards that are incredibly synergistic or just way better than the others, we'd probably play those. Obviously, the Coruscation Mage, it's good if you're going wide, it's 2 bodies, and it's good if you're pinging them a lot, are we? Now, that's a lizard mechanic, so this is more of a red-black card than it is a red-white card, but obviously it's a fine card to play. You play it on turn 2, get some pings in, you play it on turn 4, get the 2 bodies. So the question is just, do we have a lot of non-creature spells? Are we going to keep playing non-creature spells? Well, all of our expensive cards here are creatures. You know, we've got a couple of Banishing Lights, a couple Take Out the Trashes, but really, Carrot Cake is good for that, but really, we don't have that many non-creature spells, so I don't think that's really going to play. I think, probably we just mostly want like these 4 drops, maybe a 2 drop. You know, we can give this haste and rummage away lands if we're a little flooded. Now, if we go with 16 lands, this deck can use 16 lands, right? I'm not that worried about getting flooded. We also have to Take Out the Trashes to rummage already. So I don't know that we need the Whisker Skill Scribe, but, you know, we do have this Quest Color to give it +1/+1 and Mabel to give it +1/+1, right? So Cheap Mice are pretty good in our deck because we have 2 different cards that give them +1/+1. Cheap Rabbits would probably be even better because of the Harvestrite Host, but those we don't have. So anyways, a cheap mouse offers us a lot. These 4 drops are pretty mediocre, I think. I think the Veteran Guard Mouse can be solid, but I don't think it's like some incredible card. I'm not really looking for more removal. Of course, we could play one. So I think we can eliminate like, I think we're not going to play Coruscation Mage. I think I would rather have the Scribe. We're not using otters, really. I don't think these pump otters, right? No. Mice, birds, bats, and rabbits. And Mabel's just mice. So I think we could easily eliminate that. We're not going to play that. Maybe I'll play one. I'm not going to play both of those. Might of the Meek, again, we have a good amount of Valiant, but we're also pretty good at doing it already. How much Valiant do we really have? Because that's what really makes Might of the Meek a good card. And I don't want to flood either. And like, this is a deck where I don't want to be playing 1-mana cantrip for tiny ability, and then I end up with too many lands. Yeah, and we have a few Valiant, not that many, so I don't think we're going to play Might of the Meeks. So I think the Whisker Skill Scribe is almost certainly going to make it. That's, you know, it's only our 6th 2-drop. We're an aggro deck. We have lots of ways to pump it and keep getting our creatures through, right? Like this you can give +1/+0, and then we can attack. We really want to have a 2-drop out. Between these, I think it's pretty close. We did end up quite creature heavy. So even though we don't make multiple bodies with that many cards, I mean, Carrot Cake makes 2, Head of the Homestead makes 3. I think we might, Intrepid Rabbit makes 2. I think we might want Valley Rally. Maybe like, let's see, what are our stats? 17 creatures, and Carrot Cake's basically a creature too. So we're really on like 18 creatures at this point. So I think we don't want more creatures, right? I think we want the spells to help us keep attacking and get through. Oops, I just ended up putting them all away. But what I was going to do is put in the 1 Assault and the 1 Valley Rally. Give us a nice mix of spells to make sure we can, you know, keep pushing through our creatures and we don't get stalemated. All right, let's get on to the draft. I mean, to the games. Don't mind me. That was the draft. That's what happens when you get old and your brain stops working. I think this deck's pretty good. I won't be shocked if we get 7 wins with it if we draw well. Oh, perfect hand. Not going to mulligan. Both kinds of mana. 3 lands, 4 spells. Bunch of 2-mana cards. Pretty much everything you could ask for. Sorry about the low ranking. The season just restarted for August. So should we play the 2/2 that gives haste or the first strike lifelink? We could play the first strike lifelink next turn and give it haste if we want to do that. But I also don't really want to trade off this raccoon when I have take out the trash. And if they play a token and attack for 3, I'm not going to want to block. So I think I just play this here because now it has first strike, so that stops them from being able to attack me. And then I can attack with it for 2 next turn anyway. And maybe I'll end up having a better option, or maybe I'll play the raccoon and then end up blocking the Warren Guard. See, this is good because it's really hard to race lifelinkers, and they have no attack, they'll have no block next turn, and I'm on the play. So even if they want to hit a little harder than I'm hitting on the following turn, I think I'm okay with that. So that's a Windmill Slam. If they want to kill the Mentor, they'll have to double block. This thing only gets pumped when it attacks, not when it blocks. So this just makes this an easy turn. I can attack with both. Their only block is double blocking the Mentor and losing both their creatures. I'm fine with that. Otherwise, we get in a bunch of damage. It does kind of make me wish I had the Raccoon Rally route so I could just start giving +1/+1 to the Mentor, but I couldn't account for top decking my 1/3 mana haste Valiant creature, of course. Hopefully they can't play something else. That thing could be a pain, and they did. That's going to be way bigger than my stuff, so I got to draw one of my Banishing Lights, or I'm not really sure what I'm going to be able to do. Well, I guess if they don't put the counter on it, which they probably won't, I can use the Take Out the Trash to bring it back to a 3/3, and then it would only trade with the Mentor. But that said, they're probably just not going to block with it, and it's just going to keep growing. So this is not great. For now, let's see. I can give +1/+0 to the Mentor with the Host, and then that'll trigger its Valiant. So it'll end up being a 5/3. So if they want to kill it, they'll either have to lose 2 things or the Burrow Guard Mentor. I'm good with that. So that's probably my turn. Otherwise, what? Take out the trash on the Warren Guard. I can't take out the trash the Mentor, the only thing I really am worried about. So yeah, I think that's a pretty clear turn. And it's still really valuable if I kill 2 things, because that shrinks the Burrow Guard Mentor a lot. So their choice here is like take the 5, which I'm good with, obviously. Double block like this, which I'm good with. It'll shrink the Burrow Guard by 2. Or, you know, trade the Burrow Guard for it, which I'd be happy with, because that thing scares me. As a red-white player, since I didn't draw one of my 2 Banishing Lights, a big creature could be a problem for me. Although now it looks like that, you know, we took that out. We'll probably be able to mostly just ignore the Mentor. Maybe even not kill it. Maybe purposely just kill something else. Okay, so we can double Carrot Cake here, and that's 2 rabbits, which means we get to draw a card, so that's good. I don't know if we want to do that more than take the trash, one of these 2 great targets, the Harvestrite Host and the Burrow Guard Mentor. They're probably like the white-green rabbits deck all the way, and they have a Carrot Cake. So I really badly want to take out the trash on this Harvestrite Host, but I'm worried because, one, if I play Carrot Cake, like I'm not double spelling then. I don't really have anything I want to rummage away at the moment. It doesn't feel like getting good value. I mean, I guess I can get rid of the Raccoon. Oh, I don't have a Raccoon out, so I'm not rummaging anyway. So the question for the turn is basically double Carrot Cake, get my card and get in a nice attack, or take out the trash and single Carrot Cake. I think this is just double Carrot Cake, right? I can pump the Stoat, I can attack with both, I'll get to draw a card, and then if they want to trade their host, I don't have to do it now, right? I can do it at instant speed. No reason to show them what I'm going to do. And then if they want to trade their host for mine, that'll help keep the Mentor in line, and that'll deal with the host. If they want to trade the Mentor for either of my creatures, I'm fine with that. But my plan is to sack the Carrot Cake here, and, you know, I'll get in an extra damage if they let one through. Even if they block both, I'd still sack it, because it's the second time the +1/+0 is resolving, second rabbit in the turn, so then I'll draw a card. I'm going to scry any planes to the bottom. I might top them out, and I don't know if I really have double red spells. I know I have a good 5-mana card I want to play, but at the end of the day, I'm going to play that sooner or later. I'm much more interested in not flooding, so I'll probably bottom them out in here too, even if I saw it, but that I'll top. Not that it's great or anything. but they're going to have a 1/1 out at some point playing the Rabbits deck. So, like, this is an area where I think me and a lot of pros I'll see will play like this, and a lot of other people won't. And here's the thing, right? It's nice to play your 5-drop on turn 5, or next turn, whatever turn it is, 5-6. But we're not playing constructed, right? This game's going to keep going for a while. They have plenty of blockers out, plenty of cards in hand. So, like, what really matters to me is that I'm able to have more and more resources and don't flood out. If I flood out, that's the main way I'm going to lose this game, right? So, like, and, like, 40% of your deck is land. So, even if you bottom a land, you're still, like, 33% or whatever, depending on what you have, or 40% to draw one. So, sooner or later, you're going to get a land. So, you really do generally want to discard lands, scry away lands, be greedy with that, you know? So once in a while, you'll really get punished. You'll draw all spells. Maybe you'll draw another 5-drop and you'll lose. But unless you're holding, like, game-winning 5 and 6 drops in your hand, it's much better to be stuck on lands with a good 5 waiting for when you do draw one than it is to flood out. Okay, so now it seems like probably I'll play Head of the Homestead. I'll get 3 Rabbit pumps. I can pump, like, one of these 1/1s up to 3, the Stoat up to 3, and then attack profitably with all of my 3 power creatures. And I'll draw a card. So this looks nice. And I'm even going to keep sending the host because they're probably more of a rabbit deck than me, so I'm more than happy to trade my host for theirs. Plus, they have a mentor, so any trades I make their mentor smaller, and that advantages me. And that's something you always want to be thinking about when you're making a trade, like an even trade. Obviously, if you're trading way up, of course you want that. But do you want an even trade or not is always a difficult question in Magic. And the answer is often, are creatures in play better for me or better for them? For example, if you have something that gives all your creatures +2/+1, you would rather have both you and them have a 3/3 in play than not. If they have something that gets +1/+1 from every creature they have in play, you would rather you and them both not have the extra creature in play, right? So you have to just think, like, are creatures in play generically doing more for me or more for them? I'm playing this first because of Take Out the Trash. Gonna get rid of that. Gonna attack with everything. Probably going to Playful Shove one of their mouse here. Or rabbits, sorry. Looks like they've seen enough. So green-white rabbits is how you make the best use of rabbits with the go wide stuff. And that's what I was planning to draft, after my first couple picks were Rabbit Lord and Rabbit Uncommon Lord, basically, and whatever. But, clearly that deck wasn't really available to us. We did okay on rabbits, but not great. Whereas red was wide open. Like, there was no question in this draft. Red was the color I was supposed to play. And then, I could play red-white. I could play red-green. Neither one was wide open. We got, we saw the red-green rare. We saw the red-white rare, both in pack 3. Both pretty late. So I think we did a good job. But, if you are trying to make the most out of Valley Quest Caller and that Harvester, whatever it's called, green-white rabbits is the best, like, rabbit go-wide deck. Harvestrite Host. Oh, that was close. I make up names. We got all the rares here. Play this into Mabel. They're probably just going to kill it, but I didn't have another 2-drop, so there's no choice. I'm going to play it. If I had, like, a common weaker 2-drop I could put out into their open removal, I would have played that instead. And this is important. People play around way too much in Magic. Like, you don't want to not spend your mana and just leave up your removal because they left up a removal. If they have a removal, they're going to be able to kill it eventually anyway. Sure, if you are playing a weaker 2-drop, they're still inclined to spend their mana and use the removal on that one, and then you have your better one for later in the game. So if my opponent has counter or removal mana up, my default is play my weaker of my 2, the one that's going to perform worse in the late game. But almost never am I going to play nothing. All right, so what should we put out here? I want to spend 3 mana and not 2 because I'm a little bit potentially choked on mana if I don't draw them. So I definitely want to cast a 3-drop. So I'm not going to cast the one that has Offspring 1 mana, obviously. So it's between Mabel, Host, and Trapper. I guess I want the Host out. No, maybe I just trade off the Trapper for the Rough Shot duo. They're ahead. So the Host is the one that I'd most want in play for a proactive game. Because, if I draw a land, I might Rabbit and draw a card. But I'm planning to just block. Like, they're on the play. I have a handful of spells. I want a long game, not a short game. I'm cool. I don't have like the raccoon tapper out, you know, that gives taps to give things haste, where I can tap things every turn with the mouse trapper. I'm perfectly happy to just make that trade and try and prolong the game. Similarly, I don't want a Banishing Light, a 4/3. They might play a bomb or something. Take out the trash can already kill it. But I do want to spend 3 mana. It's okay to take a hit for 4. So it's really between Mabel and Harvestrite Host. So now I think this time we'll go with the Harvestrite Host. And unlike last time, I'm not planning to block this time. Because if I draw a land, I can Intrepid Rabbit and +2/+2 and draw a card. And also, if they play like a 2 toughness creature, if I draw a land, I can take out End Blooming Blast, spend all my mana that way. So a nice turn here by them, dealing me a bunch of damage, but they're down to 1 card. Should be okay. Let's see what happens. Hopefully they don't have too many more spells to ride this to victory. So, as much as I want to spend 3 mana and not 2, like I keep talking about, we've hit the point where I think I need to kill this 4/3. I don't want to take too much damage. That's the absolute ceiling for deal 3. And I don't want to block with Mabel. I'm not unwilling to, but I don't particularly want to. Alright, so still no land, but just put out Mabel. You can block a 2/3. I'm not like scared of a trick. And if they kill it, it's fine. I still get to keep the sword for the rest of the game. I don't need Mabel out pumping my mice. I wouldn't mind, but I don't need it. What I need to do is keep my life total up so I can play all these cards and win the game. But I didn't want to use Banishing Light over the 2 mana card the turn before, even though it's 1 mana more efficient, because they may slam a 5/5 or a Mythic Rare or whatever. And like, Blooming Blast and Take Out the Trash are really nice efficient cards, and there's lots of small targets for them to hit in this format, but they don't deal with big Mythic Rares. That said, now I may have to take that out if I can't profitably block a 3/4. Because I'm already at 4, and any double spell is going to put me to 2. So I definitely... I mean, if I can deal with it, that's fine. But I can't be in a position where like I take another hit from it. Target creature... So, okay, so now it's just a 3/4, though. So I can block it with the Rabbit and the Offspring. That's potentially fine. And this isn't even double spelling, right? It's just Offspring. I mean, they could end up double spelling me out since I'm at 4, so I'm probably going to end up banishing it out anyway. But I don't really have any reason to believe that last card in their hand isn't a land. And I can double block. If they have 1 removal for the Rabbit, the 3/2 I can chomp. If they have like 2 removal, like, good beats, you know. I'm probably not winning this game if they're double spelling this turn productively. So now, am I going to Banishing Light that? We'll see. If they slap down 1 big thing and have no cards in hand, I'm going to Banishing Light the big thing. If they pass the turn with a card in hand and don't cast anything, there's a good chance I'll Banishing Light the Heartborn Battler. If they attack, I'm definitely going to double block. Happy to make that trade. Okay, so they pass the turn. Now I'm definitely going to go ahead and get rid of it. You know, they're probably not sandbagging some big powerful thing, right? They might sandbag like a small thing here because they wanted to double spell and ping me for 2. But they're not sandbagging like, you know, the 5/5 Dragon Mythic or whatever. Of course, we'll top that. Well, that's scary. That's 2 more damage right to my face when those die. I can't really kill them without killing those. I guess I could Banishing Light 1 if I want to save a point. Oh, I might just be dead now. That makes this unable to block. So I'm at 1. So I have to, like, not have their creatures die. Well, this just got dicey. Oh, no, I have Carrot Cake. I can go to 4. Okay, phew. All right, so start by carrot caking and see what I get, because I'm going to have to do that, and then I'll plan my turn. Looks good enough. Food coming through. So now I don't have to Banishing Light. I mean, this will ping me, but it's just a 3/2. I don't know if I should or shouldn't. Probably shouldn't. I can always Blooming Blast it too. So I think here we're just going to attack, and then I'll Blooming Blast the Steam Path Charger. Maybe I'll hold back like one more rabbit. I don't want to be too conservative. I'm at a low life total. I need to end this game quickly. I'm effectively at 2 after killing both those. But probably I should have 2 1/1s up. There's an instant, right? Yeah. I guess they know I have something because I would have equipped Sword otherwise. So if I'm just going to do this first thing, maybe I should have done it on my turn. But there's still the, like, maybe they would have played a haste creature. Maybe they would have tried to put a pump on something or whatever. Definitely going to give them a treasure. Deal them 3 damage. So, I'm sure we can't kill them this turn. That's 7 with this, or 6 with that. So we probably want to just have our removal spell up. I don't know that it could make a difference, but seems like probably have lethal next turn. That's a treasure, not a food. Tight game. But, I mean, I can clear any blocker, and 1 removal spell doesn't beat me. So, assuming the card in their hand is like a land or a removal, I mean, I have an answer for a small haste creature. Obviously, if they draw like the 5/5 haste, I'm dead. No realistic way I could play around that. But something like that is why we leave up removal and a blocker, right? Now, if they draw removal, they're going to kill the 2/2, and then I'll take out the trash, the ambusher. Otherwise, if they attack, I can just block with my rabbit. This doesn't have trample or menace. If they pass the turn, end of their turn, I'm going to attempt to take this out. And unless they have something really surprising, we should be good, because now we have 2 lethal attackers, right? We pump the 2/2, and then they can't kill both the 3/2 and the 2/2. That was a fun one. I do like tight games. The first game wasn't that tight, though the opponent did do plenty and have that big mentor. That game was super close. I thought I was going to lose, but then I forgot I had some carrot cake to eat. Delicious. Continuing to draw well. Granted, we don't have a 2-drop, but we're not going to mull this, right? We're on the draw, so instant 2-mana removal will play better. Cheap instant removal especially plays much better on the draw than the play, because if you're on the draw, that means, like, if you leave your 2 up and they have a 2-drop out, you take, like, 1 hit for 2, and then end of their turn, you can kill their 3-drop a lot of the time with your 2-mana removal spell. If you're on the play and you leave your mana up, well, you just kill their 2-drop end of turn. Although that's a good enough one that I might just kill it. I don't really want them to get extra mana, and then they might play a 4-drop, and then I might not even be able to kill that, right? So I think I'm just going to take that out. So everything I just said is true, but not going to apply here, just because that's a 2-drop that makes mana, so I didn't want to leave it around. Although, of course, I immediately got punished, but it's fine. We can kill that too. We got all the removals. But Mabel's still good because, you know, it leaves the sword behind. Mabel's a really, really good card. That's a card you should be first picking. Okay, so I'm not going to Banishing Light a 3/3, but I do want to trade with it. I just want to get to this 5/5. Like, if we're both little red-white decks, the goal is to trade things off and then win with a 5/5. So I'm going to put out the Mouse Trapper and just get ready to block. Don't know what they're going to do, of course, but the plan is to block. So they're going to give that haste, so we're not going to be able to block. Oh, we are. They still attacked. Okay, I'll take this trade. It's not a great trade, but I'm trying to slow them down. Get to my 5/5. So we have Mabel too, but if we play it, we're taking at least another hit. But I really don't want a Banishing Light just a 3/3 here. So I think it's Mabel. Take the hit. Little rough on the draw versus the sword, giving everything haste. Oh, and they've got the 5/5. Wow. Okay, this game is going to be tough. I mean, we can still Banishing Light the 5/5 and then hopefully draw a land so that we don't have to chump block Thistledown player. We can put the sword on Mabel. Not a great trade, but not over. Or I could play the 5/5. Then they could, what? Well, they can't really move the sword. Well, they could move the sword and attack with both. And then I could, like, chump and go to 1 and eat the 3/3, though, so that would be fine. Seems better. I mean, to just Banishing Light a 5/5, right? And now we're even on board, so if those last two cards in their hand are lands or just, like, generic creatures, that's fine. The sword gives vigilance, right? Yep. Oh, this attack wasn't great, though, because then I don't have a blocker. They can put the sword on something else and attack with it. But I guess I was dead anyway if they had, like, a 3/3. Maybe not. I'm not sure if that attack was right. Probably wasn't. But they had a nice hand on the play. Basically the same deck as me, right? And they played the Mabel and the 5/5 haste on the play, so I don't think we could have won that game. No 2-drop and we're on the draw. Not ideal. Probably still can't mull this, right? I have a lot of 2-mana cards. Hopefully I'll just draw one in the first 2 draw steps. Like, either, because removal counts too, right? For not falling behind. I'll get to spend my mana killing their 2 or 3 drop. So, like, hopefully we'll draw a 2-mana card. Hooray! Asking ye shall receive, right? That's how Magic works. And next turn now we can play the Host, target the Scribe, trigger the Valiant. Life is good. I don't know what I want to rummage away. I definitely want land 4 on turn 4 for the rabbit. If I draw a land, I'll rummage one away. Okay, now it's not really a decision. I know I have 2 5-drops, but like I said, you want to be somewhat greedy with your getting rid of lands. You don't want to flood. And that's the thing. Like, you draw another land, and it's like, oh, like, I kind of wanted the land. Like, was that smart? Well, yeah, because at the end of the game, you're going to have 1 less land. Like, yeah, you want land 4 turn 4, land 5 turn 5 probably, but you don't want land. You want to finish the game with 6 lands, not 9. So when you can churn through lands and it's not too high of a cost, be a little greedy. That's my advice. Okay, so now we're definitely going to do this. Well, I shouldn't say definitely. With 2 hosts out, we would get to draw 2 cards. I was going to be like, oh, on curve, windmill slam, but I'd kind of rather play another host, and then when I play this, I'll get 2 cards. And I'll get, wait, will I get 2 cards now? Because I'll get, no, it's not the second time the ability's resolving. Even though I have the ability resolving twice, it's from 2 different ones. So I don't think this turn this will give me a card, but I think next turn both of these will trigger twice from 2 rabbits, and then I'll draw 2 cards. So I think that's the plan. Valiant's only 1 a turn. I targeted it the second time, though, because it's like, I don't know. They're both 3 power. It's a little bit smaller. Doesn't really make a difference if you assume they don't have anything and they're just blocking with a 1/2 or taking it. But yeah, so I made this turn. This turn I only used 3 mana instead of 4 because I'm going to get an extra card. Because next turn when I make 2 rabbits, both of these will trigger twice, and then I'll get 2 cards. If they don't blow up some of my stuff here, I'm really going to have a turn next turn. We're going to have 4 + 1 + 0 triggers and 2 + 1 + 1 triggers from this Intrepid Rabbit. I literally call this card Rabbit Overrun. It's usually a bit hyperbolic because you don't have 2 Harvestite hosts out, But with 2 Harvest Right hosts out, it actually is Rabbit Overrun. So maybe they're going to counter it. I don't know. I think I still get the copy. I think that's a cast trigger, right? So I'm going to go for it. Oh, no. I guess it's if it resolves, you get the copy, even though it's a cast trigger. But they didn't have a counter, so we're good. All right, so +1/+0. I don't know, +1/+0. +1/+0. I'm just pumping everything here. I don't know. What of these do I not want? I actually kind of want all of them. Do I want to rummage here? I don't really think so. This can trigger a Valiant or just a free damage. They're going to be pretty low after this turn, I think. I don't think I want to rummage anything. +1/+0. +1/+1. I don't know. I can't even tell which trigger's which everywhere at this point. But, you know, Rabbit Overrun is happening, so life is good. And we're drawing 2 cards. If there's a way I could have drawn the cards before triggering this Valiant, I probably should have done that, honestly. Because then I could have rummaged away a land. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a handful of spells. I'm pretty happy to play land 5 this turn. But overall, it would probably have been better to rummage away this land. We're just winning by so much. Like, I always say, like, I play my best Magic when I'm a little behind in tight games. When you have a handful of, like, removal and triggers and you're drawing 2 cards and you're pumping all your stuff, it's really hard for me to try and optimize that. Because you don't get any credit in Magic for making your opponent more dead. So, like, you know, if you don't do your triggers perfectly in that spot, you're, like, 98% to win. And if you do them perfectly, you're, like, 99% to win. Like, I don't know. That's the kind of spot I might get a little bit lazy, and I apologize. I just can't even conceive of what they're going to do here. That said, our choices are really like Mabel, because then we can give it haste, or Carrot Cake, because then we can do another little Rabbit Overrun. I'd rather draw cards, so I'm going to go ahead and Carrot Cake. I'm sure they're going to have something. I mean, this is at sorcery, and they left 7 up. So they're probably going to do something powerful here, like some instant that taps a bunch of things or whatever. But for now, we're presenting lethal. So I'm going to attack, make them do whatever they're going to do, and then I can sack the Carrot Cake at instant speed and get the 2 more pumps out of these and draw 2 cards. I'm sure we're not killing them this turn. I'm sure they have stuff. It's just a question of what. So that's not too surprising. So now they're pretty much tapped. They're not doing anything else. We'll go ahead and pump the 2 that are not getting tapped. I'm going to end up discarding. I guess I did want lands. Drawing too many extra cards. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I should have actually pumped the physical one more, just in case they had the bounce spell, because killing a token is better. That said, I'm discarding with a handful of spells, so, like, I don't even know that I mind that. Right, like, if they bounce this, I have to discard an extra card anyway. So it's kind of, it's not killing it, but it's killing something. Though, obviously, if they bounced Intrepid Rabbit, I'd get to play it again and overrun again. So I definitely want to take this thing out. Not sure if I'll be killing them here or not. I think if I draw a land, I can, like, double removal. If I don't, it's much closer. I think they're dead by Xaxes, actually, now, right? They block a 3. They still take exactly 8. But obviously, like, again, I didn't need to kill them, right? I could have, if nothing else, if not that, I could have, like, you know, done this and removed one and played Mabel. I've got the haste creature. Like, that game felt very over for a long time. They were, like, way too on their back foot just trying to stay alive. they did play some nice cards in the 5/5 tapper. And as the format goes and you get a little more experience, that's the kind of card that should always be on your mind. Like, if your opponent leaves up 7 and is playing blue, because it's such an expensive card. You know, like, you can't know what 3-drop your opponent's going to play on turn 3 because there's so many. But when they do nothing with cards in hand on turn 6 or 7 and have the mana up for it, that 5/5 tap 2 creature crab needs to come to your mind right away. Give myself a little bit of a break because, you know, it's week 2. But ultimately, like, that should be on your mind in those spots. Try and refocus and play a little tighter here. And we won and lost really good games in game 2 and 3. Game 1 and 4, I don't think were particularly close. Another good creature trick to always have in your mind. Target creature you control gains hexproof. So my choices now are send the Mentor or kill the Sentinel and send the Stoat. Normally, you'd be more inclined to play your 3-drop, but knowing they're holding this instant creature that can give something hexproof that can play a little bit awkward with removal, I think I'm just going to use my take out the trash here. This is like the least efficient looking of all my options, but the reality is I'm not really curving out. Next turn, if I used Assault, next turn I'd still just have this to play basically. I mean, maybe I'd get to double spell with double take out the trash, but it's not that likely given they're not going to have any creatures in play. Remember, I'm using Assault in that example. So here, you know, this is the sequence that kind of just lets me do this. Now they're going to be able to trade their 2/1 for my 3/2. I'm good with that. I know my card looks more powerful. Maybe there's an argument for saving it because I just drew the rally. But overall, this thing protects a creature from removal, and I have 2 removal spells in hand. So I'm happy to just try and trade with that 2/1. Valley Rally's not looking great here if I trade off all my creatures, so that's an argument for not doing it, I think. But maybe that pushed it to just barely correct to not do it. Before I drew that, I would have said it was definitely right. Similarly, just going to go ahead, kill their creatures, hit them for 5, keep pushing ahead. Playing pretty aggressively, but, you know, I can deal 4 to something unless they have 2 up to protect it. But if they have 2 up to protect it, it's probably not big enough that I'm, like, that concerned about it. And then I have the Valley Rally, which can still, you know, give something first strike. And that will also give me a counter. And I'm not that worried about giving them a food, even though I'm on the aggressive, because they're kind of choked on mana a little bit on their back foot. So them paying, I'm not like a burn deck. I'm like a white weenie deck. So if they want to spend a turn gaining 3 life by tapping their mana, I'm just continuing to attack them and get just as far ahead. So it's not really a big problem. All right, so I'm just gonna attack. Oh, this is a sorcery. But if I ping this for 1 and it gets a counter, they'll still be able to block, so that won't help. So I'm just gonna attack, and I'll go for the Valley Rally if they block the 3/2. Which they probably will. Not the most impressive Valley Rally of all time, but it's going to work. I'm going to give this first strike so it gets its counter and lives. They get a food, but ultimately my creature stays bigger. This can only trigger once a turn, so there's no reason to Playful Shove it now. I would have Playful Shoved it if that would work. The problem is it would have 1 damage and get +1/+1. And then they would just play the 2/1 and block it all the same. But now I can kill up to a 5 toughness. I don't mind combining these. So if they play like a 5 toughness, I'll hit it for 4 and 1. If they play a 4 toughness, I'll hit it for 4 and then ping them to death. Well, that was kind of rude. Just took my stuff. Okay, well, now I can use this to target Valiance. I'm going to want to draw a creature if I can soon, so that I have the ability to give it haste next turn and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and Playful Shove them for the point and just get a card. They're down to 2 cards in hand, and I'm mostly interested in going deeper in my deck now than holding on to 1 damage. Obviously, they'll probably play an exactly 5 toughness creature now to punish me, because, you know, that's how my life is. But overall, I think that's probably the correct play. sitting here holding on to deal 1, draw a card on in the late game doesn't seem great. This has turned out to be a very good game. So, of course, 1 toughness creature. Alright, they have 1 card. I have no reason to think they have anything. Gonna take out the 3/2. And then attack. Really wish I had the deal 1. Then they would only have 1 rabbit and they would just have a chump block instead of a double block. Well, that was weird. I guess they can sack the token to draw a card with their land. That's probably why they didn't double block. It's a lot of mana, right? It's only 2. Exile 1 other creature you control, return to the battlefield. They can't really do that. But a 3/3 stops my whole board, so I need to draw something now. I've spent all my gas, and they played a creature bigger than mine. Not great. And I really didn't want to stalemate, because this is going to untap. Not that it's the end of the world, but it is going to happen eventually. This will be a nice turnaround by them if they go on to win. I did use my resources, like, kind of loose. I mean, I think it was right. I always had more, and I was trying to keep pushing forward. Okay, that's a good draw. So, I can pump one of the raccoons and the stoat, and then I can use the other raccoon to give the 3/2 haste so it can attack 2. Come on, rabbit overrun. So we're going to pump stout once. We're going to pump 1 rallier once. And then we'll use the other rallier to give the 3/2 haste. Since they have a 3/3, we need 3 power to be able to attack profitably. So they'll block 1 with the 1/1, probably the 3/3 first strike, and sack it to draw a card, so I won't even get the life. Not that that matters. I'm at 32. Then this is a trade, and then they'll either take 3 or chump block. So it's not looking great for them, but it's not as bad as it looks, because they're about to untap the 6/5 here. And it even has vigilance, so they'll get to start hitting me. Again, I'm at 32, but that does stop the rest of my team here. So this is definitely still just a game that can go either way. Haven't used either of my banishing lights yet. That would be a good draw. Take out the kidnap and then get my mentor back and then can attack immediately with haste. So that would probably be game. If I can hit one of the 2 banishing lights. Because it's not just creature. I think banishing light's any non-land permanent. That's a pretty good draw because I can target it every turn, rummage away these lands I've been holding. That was the reason I was holding the lands, in case I drew my rummage card. And there's the banishing light. So, if they don't have something, we should win. Don't have something. Taking out the kidnap, right? And then we'll get back our Seed Gave Mentor, because they're no longer controlling it. Well, they're doing things too, but this isn't bad. They can... I don't even know what they did. They put it back on top? Okay. I was like, I'm going to be able to, like, it's going to be a 3/2. I'm going to replay it. Like, they could put, does this only target creatures? Yeah, so they couldn't put their kidnap back. So all they did was put the mentor back, and they didn't have any better options. So I think we win now. Pretty much nothing they could draw from there. Nice. I wish I had more rabbit overruns. I love that common. You see how good that thing has been every time I've played it? Like, every time I cast that card, I'm just so happy. It's like my secret sleeper for best common in the set. Okay. 3 lands, 4 spells, both kinds of mana. Of course, we're keeping. So, what order do we want to play these two? If I play the Quest Caller and then the Carrot Cake, I can attack for 2 on turn 3, and then I get 2 Scries. If I play the Carrot Cake first and then the Quest Caller, I can attack for 2 on turn 3, but I only got 1 Scry. Looks like Quest Caller first, so I get more Scries. Not that I super know what I want to scry at the moment. I would take a land. With this hand and all of the Scries, I'm pretty interested in land 4. Now, this also works for mice, so that's probably just better to just play the scribe here, right? I could Blooming Blast that, but this just seems more effective. We could scry lands to the bottom. We can scry Harvstride Host to the top. Next turn, I can Carrot Cake and Blooming Blast if I want to. It might be better to just play the Host, so that then I could double Carrot Cake and draw a card. We'll see what they do this turn. I know this duo, like, it's not effective if you play it on turn 6, but on turn 2, it's a pretty effective card. This is a deck that, you know, uses Gain Life. That said, the Moonside Cleric's just better. So probably I'm going to attack with both. If they bounce 2/3s, I'll finish it off with Blooming Blast. If they take it all, then I'll probably just Blooming Blast and Carrot Cake. So either way, I'm going to Blooming Blast and Carrot Cake. It's just a question of which. I don't want to Valley Rally here because unlike last game, I actually am going wide. I'm going to have double Carrot Cake out. So Valley Rally is the card I'm probably going to use to finish them like 4 turns from now. So I don't want to use that frivolously here. Okay, so they took it. So now the question is, do we blast the 1/2 and play Carrot Cake? Or do we, like, play the Host and the next turn we can double Carrot Cake? I don't know. I can race this life gain for sure. Maybe I just play the Host here. I don't want to miss out on cards. Also, the Blooming Blast can deal 3 later. I think I can race. I know it's hard to race lifelink. Well, that was terrible. Well, it wasn't terrible because I don't want to rummage away any of these, but this was really sloppy. So I could have just played the Host pre-combat, pumped the Quest Caller, and everything would be the same, except they would have taken 1 more damage. But the reason it's not, like, automatically worse, even though I missed a damage, is because if they blocked, I was going to be happy about it. I thought there was a decent chance they'd just put their 2/3 flyer on my 2/3, and then I'd get to kill it with Blooming Blast. So the odds that they were actually going to do that is what determines whether my play was bad or not. It's hard to say. All right, so I want to double Carrot Cake, draw a card. I don't really want to trade Quest Caller for Thistledown Player. It's pumping like all of my stuff in my deck. So I think I'll just attack with the Scribe and the Host. I'm fine with trading Scribe for Player. I don't even really care about the Rummage. My hand is so good. But what matters now is taking the turn to get the card. Plus I'm putting out 2 2/2s. Scry away lands. So we'll pump the 4/4 because they have no profitable block on that. So this is counterintuitive, right? But even though, I actually don't think I really want to draw that here. So even though normally you would pump the smaller of the 2 creatures, they have an even trade that's even slightly profitable for them maybe, since mine has a Rummage ability. So what I actually want to do here is pump the Harvstride Host, because that one they could chump block if they want. They don't have a profitable block on. I'll take that one. And I'm going to offer them these 2. Maybe for the extra 3... No, I shouldn't trade the Valley Quest Caller away. I mean, it's pumping all my stuff. Hey, I'm not the only one who gets to Rabbit Overrun. But whatever. This is a good turn for them. They're going to gain 3, go back to 13, and hit me for 5. But 14 life, I'm not in range really for next turn. Maybe I have to think about them giving all their creatures +2/+1 and making sure I don't die. But overall, seems safe enough. So let's say I blast the 3/2 and deal 3 to them. They're at 10. And then I attack with everything. They're going to have to 4, 6, 8, 10, so they have to chump block. And then they take 6 more, so they're at 4. And I play this Raccoon Rallier, planning to win with the Valley Rally next turn. That looks pretty good. Otherwise, I can attack with everything. They'll probably put the 1/1 on 4/4, the 3/2 on 2/3. I'll Valley Rally with Kick. That's less good. I can Valley Rally for more effect next turn. I don't have to give them the treasure. I don't know if I should or shouldn't. They're choked on mana. I think the life seems to matter a lot, but I don't know. Do I give them a treasure to deal 3? I don't think I'm gonna. I don't want to give them a mana when they're choked on mana. That may have been wrong. I can't say for sure on that. because they are gaining life, but also, like, they're stuck on lands. Like, if they had 2 cards at hand and they had black and white mana out or blue and white mana out, I don't know, their second color, I would have given them the treasure to deal them 3. But with them stuck on lands like this, I just don't think it's something I really wanted to risk, you know? And they conceded, so I guess I was right. But the Valley Rally was definitely going to be overwhelming now. I have 5 creatures out. Very cool. 5-1. Approaching towards 7 wins. No 2-drop, even though we're playing like 6, but we do have a 2-mana removal spell, both kinds of lands. Again, I can't mull a hand like this. We're playing limited here, not modern. Plus, we top deck our 2-drop on turn 2 every time anyway. I didn't even ask for it this time. I like to not be too greedy with my asks. Since I had to take out the trash and I was on the play, I was like, I don't really need to top deck a 2-drop. The last game when I was on the draw and didn't have any 2-mana cards, then I asked for it, you know? You gotta be reasonable. Alright, so I'm an aggro deck. I don't want to race that. I don't want them to do stuff with it. I'm going to take out the trash it. I'm not going to Banishing Light it because, again, that could kill some big creature that could really stymie me. It's unfortunate to use 2 mana instead of 3 on turn 3. It is really important to use all your mana. But with this particular hand, when am I double spelling on turn 5? And I'm not going to sit here and take hits for 2 lifelink and let them gain life. So again, I'm going to stick with my inefficiency game because next turn I'm going to play the Brambleguard Captain, target the Mousetrapper, and tap their blocker and hit for 5. Whereas if I play the Captain and I play the Mousetrapper next turn, if I target the Mousetrapper to tap their blocker, I'm only hitting for 2. So that's 5 damage instead of 2 potentially. That said, they didn't play a creature. They left up all their mana, so now they probably have removal. So that makes it a little, you know, less clear what to do. I don't know. So what are my options? I could attack, see what they do, and then post-combat Brambleguard Captain or Carrot Cake. Like, if they kill my creature, I could Carrot Cake and leave trash up. I could just play the Captain, then they'll kill it, take 3, or they'll kill the Trapper. It's not really great or horrible either way. It's a close play. It's definitely a close play between attack for 3 and then plan to use Carrot Cake and take out the trash potentially. They might have that 4/2 that flashes in to give -1/-1. If they flash that in to block, then I can hit it with take out the trash. But it's pretty bad to play Carrot Cake and make a 1/1 and then pass the turn if they take the 3 and then still have their 4 up. So, but that's okay, because you know what? I'll just play the Brambleguard Captain post-combat. I don't mind missing the 2 damage here, because it's effectively like getting in 3 damage. And I mean, look, they're probably just going to play the Bat Deal 4 card or some other removal spell. I'm not psychic. But it's not like if they were going to do that, pre-combat Brambleguard Captain was going to do anything, right? That was just going to show them what I had. But if, on the other hand, they flashed in the 4/2 to try and block, then I could have killed it with Take Out the Trash and played Carrot Cake. And if they took the 3, then post-combat, I could have just played the Brambleguard Captain. So, basically, that didn't go great, but there was no way it was going to go great, right? Alright, I don't particularly need to kill those creatures. So, and my stuff doesn't have haste, so this is kind of just a no-brainer. Attack, they can chump with a 1/1 or take a nice hit for 6. You know, when your opponent puts out 3 bodies, they're probably going to double block, and then I'll take out the trash. I should consider that as an option, of course. But when your opponent puts out 3 bodies, it feels like they're going to have chump blocks forever. But if you're in a race or something, that may be true. But if you're just playing a game with both of you at like 20 and, you know, they're going to run out, they're throwing away creatures, you don't have chumps forever. That said, now they're going to kill one of my creatures. I don't know which one. Looks like the Lord. So they have 2 cards left. I think a 5/3 is good enough for me to kill. So scry any land to the bottom, basically any spell to the top, including that because they have a 1/1. I'll hit it. I'll hit with it next turn. And then I'm going to Banishing Light. So this game comes down to what their last 2 cards are, of course. But, you know, Carrot Cake's really nice for these kind of situations because at this point, every land is pretty much a dead card. This is where Scry 2 in the late game comes up big. Well, second Wix Patrol also comes up big. These are just nice, really powerful 2-for-1s for them. Okay, so I'm going to Playful Shove the 1/1, see what I get. Unfortunately, I guess the right choice was to scry first. But I'd rather do that into their turn if it's close, because I don't know what I'm going to want necessarily. Mostly I'm going to put any land on the bottom and any spell on top, but there could be some spells that don't line up well or aren't effective enough depending on what they do. So they left their pump mana up. It's a little weird rather than deal me one, but maybe it plays around a few things. Bottom of land, of course. Draw another land, of course. So it looks like we're going to lose this one to flood. Nothing you can really do about that. I mean, 8 of 16 lands. Not that, I mean, we're 24 cards deep, so that's not that bad of a flood, but this is always a vulnerability of my deck. I have the 2 Rummage takeouts. I've got the Whisker Skull Scribe. But they killed all that stuff, so, you know, it's credit to them. Because if those things were in play, I would be rummaging. I wouldn't be flooded. So what am I going to do? They can pump this to a 7-5, or they can pump this to a 4-4. So I can, like, pump and hit for 2. I have to block on their turn. But if I hit them for 2, I can chump the 5-3 with the 1-1-1 and just take the other one. And then if I draw, like, Harvest Dried Host or Rabbit Overrun, it'll be a much better draw. My other options are, like, triple block the Wix Patrol, and then I'm just facing a Warren Elder if I want to try and top deck removal or something. But if I top deck removal, I can also just kill the Patrol or the Elder next turn and have better blocks. So I think I'm going to play the game where I attack and chump and try and on-tap with the Harvest Dried Host, not the game where I, like, double or triple block. Obviously, if they have removal or something, I'm losing regardless. But I think on-tapping with the Harvest Dried Host gives me the ability to draw either the other Harvest Dried Host or the Rabbit Overrun, both of which I don't think I've drawn yet. And then I can draw cards and have a much better turn. And if I do draw the removal, like I said, I can just kill the Wix Patrol or this whatever anyway, and then, you know, we'll see what happens next. I could still double block the other one. I'm a huge dog here, so it's not looking great. But drawing cards would probably be the best way out of this for me. So we didn't get the card draw. We did get a deal 2, which doesn't kill anything. So I'm probably just going to die. How can I win? Let's say I block Patrol on a 1-1. I hit them for 3 now. And then in response to them pumping, they'll just pump again. So that's not going to work. So I got to have my blockers up. I'm pretty sure I'm just dead now. But that wasn't going to be changed if I had went for, like, the triple block on the Patrol. I mean, maybe I could live for a turn, but they're clearly keeping 4 up to protect the Elder from a deal 2. They've done that a bunch of times at the cost of a damage or 2. I didn't think it made that much sense because red doesn't really have a deal 2, right? You have the, but whatever. You have the deal 3 at common, and I could have dealt 3 to the Elder if I had drawn to take out the trash anyway. But they successfully played around Blooming Blast, so I'm just dead now. So I'll show them that I had it so they can feel good about their play. Now they pump in response and the game is over. 3 power, double strike flying. Maybe we're not going to get the 7 wins. I mean, we're having a good draft. We're 5-2. Think we're going to 2-0 and get that trophy? Also, gold is tougher than it is later in the season because remember, the season just reset for everybody. So, like, all of, like, you know, a lot of the high rankers are just playing their drafts now and are gold too. So, don't make fun of me too bad if I don't get 7 wins while in gold. At the end of the season, I would do it almost every time. Okay, 2 lands, but I'm not going to mull this. I've got a 2-drop, 2-mana removal spell, and then 2 3-drops. So, both colors. Hopefully we can draw 1 land. If we get stuck on 3 with this hand, it shouldn't be a big deal. If we get stuck on 2, we'll probably lose, you know, for too long. Obviously, we can miss, like, once. Hooray! Getting mana screwed is the worst. So now we can play a nice offensive game, curve out, pump our stoat. Is that how you say it? Is it stoat, stout, Stoat. I don't know. Words. Tome rhymes with home, right? For anybody who's old and watched my stream in 2020. All right, not great. I don't have anything to do. I do want to try and curve up to this boar. I'm going to go ahead and shoot them, see if I can draw land. Good stuff. And they only have 3 swamps out, and that's a 4th swamp. So unless they're playing mono black, I'm not really in a position to complain. Just try and kill their stuff and hopefully play this boar. If they leave their mana up, I don't know. Do I play the boar? Like, they probably just kill it, right? Probably they have, like, another removal spell. I think I need to slam that when they're tapped. Like, I don't have anything else going. I'm going to, like, sandbag it. This might be being, outplaying myself a bit here. But, so I'm going to kill their ambusher. The only question is with which one, and do I give them a treasure or not? You know, it feels like they probably have a second color, so I probably don't want to give them a treasure. I can just save the blast for later. I mean, trash does hit 3 toughness, not just 2 toughness. And, but they could end up low after they take a hit for 5 from the boar, hopefully, if they drop shields. So I think, just take out the trash here, probably. I don't have to deal the 3 to them. I could also just blast it and go about my day. Maybe that's right. There are a lot more 3 toughness than 2. And it's worth noting that I have a 2/2 first strike. So a 3 toughness creature is an effective blocker, and a 2 toughness creature is not. That was an exception because they were giving it -1/-1. Hey, we got rewarded. Everything went according to plan. So now we can hit that, on tap, play the boar, and hit them. So if they don't have removal, we're in great shape. If they do have removal, we at least got in that 1 nice hit for 5 by us slow playing the boar for a turn when their mana was up, right? Hopefully we can get rewarded by winning a tight game with our crafty play. I'm not patting myself on the back at all. Just sitting here humbly bragging. It's nice when stuff works out like that. And, like, look, for all we know, all they had was that 4/2, which would not have stopped the... Well, it would have actually stopped the 5/5. They could have given it -1/-1 and blocked. So even versus just the 4/2, it was really good. And then, of course, if they have spot removal, it was very, very good because we got in a hit for 5. All right, well, I don't... Well, they can kill it for 2 mana. There are cards that do that. So I think I just attack. Like, the 5/5 has trample, the 2/2 has first strike. So there's no reason to deal 4 to a 2/2 here. Just let them do whatever they're going to do, and then I can play tricks or whatever. Like, obviously, if I knew they had nothing, I would have just killed them. But they could easily have, like, you know, fell 2 mana kill a creature, or, like, this one. And, like, they didn't have a block, really. They couldn't even chump this because it has trample. If they were chumping for 5 to save 5 life, I might have killed it. But they were chumping to save 2 life. So, just going to let them do that. And if they did play some kind of a trick that gave it, like, Death Touch and Indestructible or something of that nature, then I would have, of course, used Valley Rally. Well, not if it was Death Touch and Indestructible, but you get the point. All right, now we get the game for all the marbles, 6 and 2. These are the best sweats anyway, right? The trophy game, you don't want to have 1 loss when you play the trophy game. Then it's not fun. But when you're 6 and 2, that's it. 1 game. I hope everybody enjoys this video. I know I haven't been making them lately. I plan to. I know I often say that. But I really do enjoy making them, and I really do appreciate how everybody who has stayed subscribed to my channels and has supported my content over the years watches them and seems to like them when they come out. So I don't think that it's not for because I don't think there's demand. I really appreciate the support and demand from the Magic community. It's way more just, you know, about time and work and things like that. But I am going to try and continue to make BloomBurrow videos. 2-lander, both mountains, but we have the scribe, we have the shove, so if we brick on the first 2 draws, we can shove the scribe and then get a rummage and a draw 1. I think we got to keep this. I know it's not pretty, but if we draw plains, it's a beautiful hand. And if not, we've got shove and scribe. I mean, even if they play a 1 toughness creature and I shove their creature, that's another draw card. So it's more like a 2-lander on the draw than on the play. That's a fitting draw. It's punishment. So, like, if that was a plains, right, it would be beautiful. Now what do I do? I guess I have shove for next turn, so I'm going to scribe. Because if I top deck a plains, I'll be much happier to play this later in the game and play 2-3 drops in a row or something. If I don't draw a land, of course, it'd be better to have gotten that in play last turn. But now that I have a plains and it's not that, like, it's not really desperation time when it comes to rummage or anything, I could just shove them here. Now, I'm not going to do that because I drew take out the trash, but I was going to do that otherwise. Now I'll just take up the trash for their 3-drop. So we still managed to cast something every turn. All right, and now we'll get our rummage, I think. Well, what am I going to rummage away? I mean, I have the Mousetrap or Brumbleguard Captain combo. I do want lands, though. Like, if I cast this Homestead with this Harvestrite host out, that's amazing. I guess I can rummage away the Playful Shove just to save the mana of paying 2 to cycle it. I guess that's probably right. It's kind of rough if I draw, like, 2 non-lands, but I guess we can't assume that. Also, if they're stuff I want to play that are effective, then that works too. So hopefully I draw a land here next turn, because then I can slam the Rabbit Overrun with the host out. Life's great. But I didn't. I drew the 2 non-lands, so now I don't have a way to really do anything. So this is kind of rough. Well, I can Rabbit, right? I just can't Offspring. But then the ability only triggers once. Even though I get this ability and this ability, I don't get a card. I do get a Rummage if I target this. Well, I get a +1/+0 and a +1/+1. So I can double target the Scribe, get a Rummage, and then attack for 4. It's not amazing. Or I could chill. This thing is good. Doesn't have ward or anything. I think I'm going to chill for now. I don't love it, but it's way, way, way different if I Offspring this. I'm not being greedy because I want a 1/1. I'm being greedy because I'll draw a card off host. So that's what makes it like a world of difference. All right, so this could be a tight race. So now we can tap their blocker by targeting Trapper with any of the pumps. So I think now we're going to go for it, clearly. I might lose the race, but I don't think they're going to kill me on their next turn. So it's going to come down to the turn after that, and I like my ability to attack. I definitely want to Rummage. I don't need a second Trapper here. I need land 5 for the head of the Homestead. This doesn't matter. They have no blockers. I've already triggered the Valiance. So, I mean, unless they have a sweeper, or unless they can +8 here, which is not impossible, but is highly unlikely, because, you know, this gets a free +2, but they still have to deal me a lot more, and I have a couple of blockers. Next turn, the plan would then be tap their best blocker, pump all the smallest stuff, attack with everything, because, again, I'm doing Rabbit Overrun with Head of the Homestead and Harvestrite Host. So we'll see. If they don't have a counter, I think we win for the trophy. So now we have to target Mousetrapper to get the tap. We want to target the smallest things, and we did it. So we were going to pump the, you know, remember, we had 3 pumps, so we were going to pump the Scribe and the 1/1 Rabbit. They were going to have 2 blockers to 5 attackers. So even if they had a removal spell, 2 attackers would still get through, and that would be 5 damage, and they were at 3. So this is how you do Rabbit aggro. It's actually not. It's really more like how you do Boros aggro with Valiant. We made good use of Valiant, good use of the Harvestrite Harvesters with Valiant, which is really cool because if you're white-red, those things trigger Valiant left and right, every time you cast a Rabbit. If you're white-green, that's really how you do, like, the Rabbit Horde go wide the best. But overall, I think this was a pretty good video for what a Boros aggro deck is doing in this format. You're really trying to take advantage of Valiant. That's the Boros mechanic. You're an aggro deck all the way. Boros is probably the most aggro deck, maybe second to black-red. You know, green, white, and green, red tend to like go big a little more while being kind of aggressive. But in this format, red is way more aggressive than white is. White might, I'm not even sure. Like, yeah, white's probably the second most aggressive color. But really, white in this format is like very go wide, and red is very aggro. So I think this draft did a good job tying those two things together to produce like a rabid aggro deck for red-white. So, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I do plan to make around a video a week for BloomBurrow, so we'll see if I can stick with it. Thank you for your support regardless. As always, or if you're new to my channel, I welcome all constructive criticism. I definitely did not draft or play perfectly. You know, be nice about it, but feel free to point out in the comments anything you would have done differently, any draft picks you would have made, any plays in game you would have made differently than I did. I have learned a ton from the feedback over the years from the chat. You know, don't think like because I'm a pro you shouldn't criticize me. The hive mind, all of you combined, are a million times better than me at Magic. So I always like read the comments. I always appreciate the feedback. You know, don't be afraid to be wrong. Like I always try and go for like a type of environment where we just discuss things and try and figure out what's optimal, what's best. Other than that, enjoy your BloomBurrow drafts, and I will see you next time.